This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
What up, my degenerates? This is your month, and I know it. It's March. I know you're putting the action in. My guy Phil is here with me on this episode of Wanna Bet. Oh, man. Today we're going to talk about the NCAA tournament, some bets, and really to start this off, we're going to talk about betting with your emotion and fandom and how it can jack up your betting habits. And here's why. All right, all morning on Thursday, I saw bet against State. They're not going to do it. They're a team of chokers. They're a team that doesn't play well. This is a perfect scenario for Michigan State to lose. And I saw on multiple outlets, videos, people saying, don't bet on Michigan State. This is a clear scenario in which you want to put your money on UCLA. Then you get to the biggest radio show in Detroit, and the host, who's usually a little bit negative, and Mike Valenti, he's like, I'm nervous. I'm not feeling it. Something's wrong with Michigan State. And logically, you say, what happened in the first half in that game was how the game really should have went. But true to form, the chokers that they are, Tom Izzo gets into it with Gabe Brown. It goes viral yet again, and you have a scenario in which they collapse. They go on a drought, and you got, UCLA in that second half was dropping dimes. And I like football like that. And you're sitting there. I watched it after a long 12 hours of work. I literally got home on Thursday at 9:40. Got everything situated to sit and watch that. And you know what? For one of the rare times, I was emotionless. I didn't bet. I didn't put a single dollar. Most people said UCLA, consider the under. But for me, I should have really taken it seriously, those that were complaining against Michigan State, because the trends were, the way in which that game played out was exactly how that game went in regards to Michigan State not being able to close, not being able to consistently put the biscuit in the basket, and the perimeter defense was god-awful. I mean, you would think after the third or fourth three that this guy Jaime was hitting all over the place, that you would box out or perimeter or play some perimeter defense or put somebody on their ass or rebound or, figure out how to run your offense a little bit more smoothly. But no, this was a horribly coached team in this year. And after the half, people were like, you know what, Tom Izzo is griping with an 11-point lead. You're embarrassing the program live on national television yet again. So where the talk is on Friday, where everyone's talking about Tom Izzo grabbing a player instead of the fact that his defense was terrible. Aaron Henry was wasted. Josh Langford was a player that just simply peaked and never got to the level to where he was 2 years ago. And then, most importantly, they cost me money. I didn't put the action down. Somebody said, hey, because I was like, oh, I hope all you Spartan haters lose your money. And they're coming back chirping. They're like, yeah, betting 150 at plus 250 there would yield a nice, healthy return if I didn't let my fandom affect my betting. And that's a really good advice. It's a good piece of advice. Learn from the DOC. Take away your fandom and look at trends. Look at what other people are saying. And the smart thing is, if you're a fanboy and you're somebody that cannot put aside your emotions in betting, then you don't need to be gambling, because you're going to end up making stupid bets.
Yep. You know what, dude? I sort of want to go real quick off of that. What you said about Izzo, because I actually read something about the exact opposite of on Juwan Howard and what it seems to have done to that team. He doesn't engage his players like that. He battles for them. He's passionate for them, to wanting them to succeed. He wants to teach them and help them be better. So unfortunately, it's not like it was when we were kids, man. When we were kids, like, that was what you dealt with. You dealt with it. These kids, they're not like that. You can't interact with them like that. They shut down. Like, you need to build them up. They need to feel like empowered. And unfortunately, like, these old school coaches have a real difficult time sort of meshing with the personalities and like just sort of the culture of how it is nowadays. And I mean, there you go. Like if you're up 11, dude, I'd be happy as hell, especially like when you're trying to get into the first round. You know what I mean? So I mean, I couldn't agree with you, dude. I mean, do you think this is something that like State, especially after the year that they had, should they be looking for a change now? Like, I mean, you talked about it before after they sort of were on the decline, and then they turned it around to sort of claw back in to the tournament. But do you think it's time now to maybe take a look, especially after like that little incident, that maybe there's something they need to do to make a coaching change to change the culture of the program?
Here's the thing, though. It did affect their play. The problem is you don't see a bunch of transfers. The players that go there are told. It's straight up. So it's a national story. It's one of those things where inside Michigan State, this is just a tough coach that's getting the best out of his players. The players love Tom Izzo. They don't talk disparagingly about the coach. They play. Unfortunately, you saw a situation in which the manner in which we're breaking it down is the team was winning. And so what? You make a defensive switch and you make a mistake. It doesn't happen. You go into the locker room and you let them have it behind closed doors. You don't do it publicly. You clap. What Tom Izzo should have did in that moment is Gabe Brown's pissed. So Gabe Brown started it because he's pissed at what happened. There was a miscommunication in a defensive switch, which led to a bucket that gave obviously UCLA some momentum, and he's pissed. So what should happen is once he sees that, Izzo now in his change going forward, I hope he reviews it and will do it. He should have been clapping. He should have got his team. He should have stopped everything, clapped, and said, look at the scoreboard. We're up 11. No big deal. Instead, he's yelling and barking and grabbing his players, and they came out and couldn't hit anything. And I think it really affected the morale of what was going on. Michigan State was the better team. It was clear. If Joey Hauser and Aaron Henry and Gabe Brown and Rocket Watts would have stepped up, there is no doubt about it that there would have been a blowout in that game. Because, look, UCLA was simple. I mean, not at all. There was a scenario in which you looked at UCLA and you said, okay, this offense is pretty basic. They're going to pass it, they're going to look to the perimeter, and they're going to run a couple screens. That's about it. Michigan State's offense is no different in terms of the elaborateness of it, but in terms of how that game should have went, it should have been a blowout. And maybe, the players were a little down in terms of playing in the play-in game, but UCLA is not that much better than Michigan State. And by and large, I think that Tom Izzo should learn from it. And I just saw right now, as we're recording this, Detroit News puts out a column. MSU must check Izzo's outbursts. Ooh. So somebody said it. Okay, now look, little inside scoop here. That's pure shit, clickbait. It's good. That's good. That's juicy because it came right across, and you're going to want to read it. But, it's a straightforward opinion in that I like it. You and I are both in the same way because I knew that when I came to your house, if we were going to mess up, we got to hit it from Pops, or we were going to hear it. He didn't care who was there. If you were doing wrong or coming incorrect. And the best part was, in regards to Michigan State, in the rivalry, I would always love coming over to your house when Michigan State won because I'd come in with my D'Lo Brown swagger and be like, "What up, Pops? How'd the game go?" And he'd be like, "Sit your fat ass down and shut up. You guys are in the B class of this operation. We don't need to be hearing from you. You can win once every 3 years. Shut your ass up." And it was great. It was great. And you and I are not unfamiliar with tough love. But unfortunately, you do also have to respect the culture you're in. It doesn't work. It's got to be behind closed doors. You can't do that shit nationally because it's just all bad now for Michigan State. But more importantly, I lost money. This is crazy. I should have bet against my team, and I'm thankful I have not yet put a single wager down. People are loving life because Drake lost, Drake won, I think, and they were an underdog, and people loved it. And people are betting big, baby. The NCAA, it's interesting now more for, and I'll ask you, more for the betting than it is for the brackets.
Oh yeah. Everyone's not worried about their bracket. Not really worried about brackets anymore, especially with like the advent of like just like all the apps now, like everybody's worried about like odds. I mean, like I'm running parlays like crazy today just because like unfortunately Colgate was sort of sticking around with Arkansas, but they're going to end up costing me a couple of my parlays. And like I took VT and they clawed back somehow. I don't understand how Florida blew that game. Florida had them dead to rights. And VT came back. But, I mean, yeah, I'm more worried about the parlays. I mean, what can you win from these brackets and you got to, like, grind it out for, like, 3 weeks? You win a few $100 if you get lucky. No one's hitting the perfect bracket, number one. Like, I mean, it hasn't been done. So, you know, you like what's grinding it out for a couple $100 when you can hit a parlay on one of these sites now for, like, $4,000 if you hit a, like, eight teamer or something.
Yeah, exactly. The 18 parlays, that's awesome. Oh man. It's good stuff. Have you contributed at all to the betting in regards to the NCAA tournament? Anything going down?
Yeah, like I said, I took Colgate. Like I took Colgate, especially the way Arkansas played in the SEC tournament. But unfortunately, it's gonna come back to bite me in the ass. I took the Baylor and the Hartford over just because Baylor's probably going to score a shitload of points. They like to pour it on. And then I was looking at like some of the 12-5 matchups. And the 12-5 matchup that interests me the most is Georgetown. Especially all the shit that went down with Patrick Ewing at the Garden. Like it seems like his team got a little fired up, you know, and they came out and they freaking pounded Creighton, man. So last Saturday. So I mean that Georgetown, Colorado, there's always a 12 seed. It seems like I think there's only been a few years in the last like 2 decades where a 12 seed hasn't got through. Like Georgetown seems like I would take them on the money line to be the 12 seed that gets through right now.
How you liking the tournament so far? Early on, what'd you think? What was your reaction when you saw the bracket get put together? Because is it worth it now, seeing how it's shaken out? Because I think by and large, 99% of the brackets got Gonzaga taking on Illinois, with the betting favorite being Gonzaga, but some action on the value because of the fact that they're underdogs is going on Illinois.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'll be honest, and I know this. I know the Gonzaga team like is the best that Mark's had in his span there, but they never ever seem to get it done. And he's had some really good like teams. Like, can you remember when Sabonis was there? Like, I mean, in years before that, like they always had quality teams. I just think, unfortunately, that he's one of those guys. It's just like you can look at the NBA with some of the coaches where they can take a team, lead them, get them into the postseason, but then they just can't get over the hump. I don't really think it's going to be that different right now. Uh-oh. Knock, knock. Who's there?
Oh, you know what? The DOC is always busy. You know who it is. The bookie. Be like, you didn't pay up the money, brother. You got to pay up. Got to pay the piper.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would be the way Illinois has been playing. Illinois would be a safe bet. You know who else? I mean, now Michigan could run into a hard time, especially with Livers being out. So, one more game that I like, and you know I'm a Florida State fan, but I sort of, especially when the college basketball picked up on the app, I started keeping an eye on some of the smaller schools. That UNC Greensboro game, especially with Florida State spotting them 10.5. I'm actually I'd probably be willing to put some money on UNC Greensboro right now. Like I said, 10.5 is a big line, and Florida State has been turning the ball over way too much. So there's something to think about there. Those are going to be the 2 picks that I probably roll with this weekend.
Oh, nice. Okay, and you were right. Recap what you did last week. You were right. You went 2-0 in your place.
Yep. Yeah. Like I said, I just liked what had been going on. Well, not so much what had been going on in favor of Miami, but Chicago played terrible the day before against Philadelphia when Philadelphia was undermanned and they got ran over. So I thought that was a pretty safe bet. And then St. Bonaventure St. Bonaventure covered the line against VCU. So at least 2-0 to start. So we'll see. So I'm going to take Georgetown, and I'm going to take Georgetown on the money line, and then UNC Greensboro with the points. Those are going to be my 2 picks this week, buddy.
Nice, very nice. How are you viewing Michigan? Because if I'm a Michigan supporter, I'm like, man, wasted opportunity. Because the team's gonna potentially have a chance to win a game or two, but in regards to the number 1 seeds, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of cool to sit back and to see the team that is being picked to be eliminated as the number 1 seed is Michigan. They're all like, Illinois, Gonzaga, Baylor, they'll all advance. Michigan, not so much. Let's get them out. Some people have them losing early, and I can understand the reason why. When you have a player the caliber of Isaiah Livers in the tournament, in the Big Ten tournament, they didn't look as good as they could and cohesive. But I think some time off, some coaching, and if one additional player can rise up and be that stud, I think Michigan is a fair play to maybe make it a long shot if there's a bet to get to the Final Four at least.
Yeah, I like you said, I mean, to be honest with you, the third game is where if Florida State gets through and Florida State can hold on to the ball, like that could be a game where Florida State could sneak by them. But I mean, the rest, everyone's was really saying that Michigan got like the toughest draw, like bracket wise. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, once again, Georgetown's somebody sneaky that, if you get hot at the right time, you could cause a little bit of trouble. So, I mean, we've seen shit years ago. What was it, a few years ago when a couple of those 12 seeds and a 13 seed got through to the Sweet 16 in 1 year? I mean, it's all about flow. In Michigan coming into the postseason, they had that big loss to Illinois, and then they lose to Ohio State. Those aren't things you want to do. You want to be like, I'd rather start off slow and then catch fire like later in the season and then ride that momentum in. So I'd be willing to look at the teams with the momentum. And like you said, Illinois is probably one of the biggest ones from that perspective.
Okay. In regards to a sleeper team, is there a team that you say, you know what, they're not being talked about as much as potentially they need to be based on play? I don't think it's Baylor. I mean, the Big Ten, I'm a little surprised at how high a lot of teams are ranked. Ohio State, Illinois, the number 1 seed. I just feel like they're poised to get potentially upset. I think that if you go with the 2 number 1s, if you go Baylor and Gonzaga, I think you're safe. But the others, I'm a little concerned that the Big Ten was overrated.
I mean, I wouldn't right now. I wouldn't really be willing to bet against Illinois. Now, Michigan, unfortunately, like I said, they came in on a little bit of a slide. Like if you look at the 2 seeds, Houston and Alabama, I mean, Alabama really hasn't been playing that good down the stretch. So, I mean, there's somebody you could keep an eye on getting. Like UConn could sneak past them in the second round. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I like the bracket. The bracket setup was great. And I'll be honest, I was gripping. I had a feeling potentially State wasn't going to get in it. And so how do you look at it? Do you view it? And before we look at some of the other betting situations with the NBA and things like that and baseball and stuff like that, does it count? Did Michigan State get in? I mean, officially it goes down as the 23rd consecutive appearance, which is basically how long I've been out of university life, which is really cool that Tom Izzo has built something cool. And we're talking about potentially taking it to another level and seeing about the Spartans. But the play-in game kind of has the feel of like
they didn't get in.
Yeah, a qualifier, and you didn't play your best. You got outshined by UCLA. So how do you view it? The play-in game. I don't feel like they deserved it.
I don't like the play-in game, man. You know what? Like it's just, once again, it's just a way for the NCAA to try and create revenue, which that's what any business wants to do. But like those playing games, if anybody should be playing in, it's the 16 seeds. I don't understand why they have 4 11 seeds and 4 16 seeds playing it. If you're going to play in, the worst 4 teams should have to play in to get into the tournament. Shouldn't be picking random numbers out of the air to do this shit. So, I mean, I think it's BS. I don't really like it. I mean, everyone's gonna say, "Oh, we got in, blah blah blah." But I mean, did you you got to a game before the tournament, before the first round started? I mean, do you really want to hang your hat on that? I mean, now of course there's going to be a lot of people that'll like jump at the chance, but I mean, you want to be able to get in and play your best, and you don't want to have get in there to in a preliminary round and then lose and then lose. I mean, what does that really say about what your program's doing,
Yeah, it's not a good look, but they're going to retool. So, you and I got to do a GoFundMe because we got to make sure we visit Amani Bates and go, look, show up to East Lansing, Phil Pomani the booster, get your name out there. Could you imagine your claim to fame? Booster Phil Pomani, slipping these unfortunate kids millions of dollars. And he'd be like, they stick a camera in your face and everyone's all judgmental. And you're like, look, I'm just helping these kids secure the bag. What's the big deal? They're like, don't you dare talk like that. These are amateur kids. They're like, look, whenever I roll up on some kid and I put a hundo in his hand, it's all love, baby. They're happy. And I love spreading the love, and that's me, Phil, spreading the love. And everyone's like, well, he is wearing a fur coat. The hat's a little fly, okay, this may not be the most savory of characters here. And, kind of approach it like the LeVar Ball angle where everyone's judging you and you're just out here clowning around. But look, I just hope that he shows up because it's unfortunate one of the Canadians, and you can never trust a Canadian, 5-star athlete. He's not coming to Michigan State, but the other two, headlined by Amani Bates in a couple years, I think that Michigan State is going to have one more opportunity with Tom Izzo to make a run at a title, and then you got to start at least getting the preliminary talks of who's next, and that's who's going
to succeed. Yeah,
who's going to succeed him. So how's everything looking in the NBA? The Pistons surprising people, getting some W's, which I think is a bad thing overall, in that it makes it hard to bet because they've been picking up some W's against some good teams at home.
Yeah, and we talked about this. We've talked about this on a couple other sessions too. It's so hard to bet against them, in spots where you think that they clearly have no chance. They're making a run. They're making runs like tonight. They're playing Houston. They should theoretically run Houston over because Houston's literally got nobody. But once again, this is a spot where, and I mean, we've seen this before. Sometimes they play down to their competition, and I don't get it, man. So I don't even know I'll check the line. I'm sure they're gonna be spotting them at least 4. Oh no, they're only spotting them 1.5. So, and they're plus money on the money line. Wow. So the Pistons are actually getting points tonight against Houston. So what does that say?
Damn.
That they're getting points against Houston. And Houston's literally the worst. I think they're the worst team in the league right now.
I agree. That's crazy. Think it's worth it to put a little play on it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, but once again, and maybe this is why the line's set like that. I mean, I would have to think with all these tools, they take into consideration how they're playing against certain opponents and whatnot. So this I know they're on the road, but I would think that the Pistons should still have a clear advantage, just from a depth perspective. So the fact that they're getting 1.5 is pretty interesting to me.
All right, let's turn our attention to baseball. Anything at all you've surmised over the past week in regards to baseball? I know you told me that bet against the Tigers, and that could be good. Anything at all that came across your mind in regards to a bet? Maybe a team like the Dodgers? Any value of a future play that potentially people could look at?
Hey, once again, so it's funny you say that because I just happened to check out some of the scores from yesterday. Tigers lost to the Phillies. They lost 3-0, I believe. They're playing right now. They're down 8-1 against the Blue Jays. So once again, two days in a row, I haven't really looked at it, but the Tigers, first thing I open up to, Tigers are going to have 2 losses in 2 days. So, and then the Dodgers actually that same day, because I believe I checked on this on, was it Wednesday or Thursday? I really can't remember, but the Dodgers had won that day and the Tigers had lost. So I haven't taken any deeper of a look, but so far, if I would have been able to bet on both of them, I would have bet the money line, and I'd have won all three of those games so far.
Nice. Okay. So review the plays, and maybe we'll get one potential gamble that people can make as well this weekend. What are your two plays? Review them that you agree with.
Yeah. So I'm definitely I know the line's 6.5 for Colorado, -6.5 for Colorado, but I actually think this is the one that this is the 12 seed that's going to get through. So I'm taking Georgetown. I take Georgetown on the money line. I think they're going to win outright. And then UNC Greensboro against Florida State. Like I said, I'm a Florida State guy, but 10.5's a lot. I think UNC Greensboro is going to take advantage of that and keep the game close. So I take the 10.5 with them.
Okay. Anything at all that you say maybe a value, a parlay, an outside chance if you want to put something together that can make people some money and potentially you say, okay, mix up a couple teams that maybe people can put $5 and make some money on.
Phil's
big play parlay. I like it. It's something to brand. Phil's big play, big payday parlay. What's up?
How on earth is Boston still spotting everybody points? They were giving points to Utah on, was it Monday or Tuesday night? And then they came back and they were spotting the next day and they lost both of those games outright. Why are the Boston Celtics laying points to anybody? Is terrible. They're giving the Kings 7 tonight. 7. Like, that seems way too much to me. And Miami's only -4 against the Pacers. So there's two. I mean, I literally just opened the page up and look. Boston spotting anybody points drives me nuts right now, just given how poorly they've been playing. So I would take the Kings +7 and I take the Heat -4. Those seem like two slam dunks for me, man.
Bam.
I mean, good Lord, dude.
All right, I'll hit you up and get it, no doubt about it. Phil's big payday parlay of the week. And that's what we got to do, man. We got to get it. We got to make these people money so that we can make sure that Phil rises to the top so that he can slip all these recruits some big money. We got to make sure that Phil's a major handicapper. Now, because of the fact that gambling is so big, I can share with you, too, that there is now a new, which I think, I'm not sure yet, I will go look into it, but it appears that a former media member is now paying for time on television. 11:30 on Sunday on Channel 7. Mike Sullivan, former producer on a big-time sports show, is now running a gambling show on Channel 7 at 11:30 on Sunday night. He's going to have guests, going to have handicappers, and he's going to review a lot of the action and sports in town. The way it kind of which is presented, it kind of has a feel that he's paying for the time, but he's smart to do it because of the fact that gambling's huge. Everyone's talking about it, and it's something that people definitely need to pay attention to. So make sure you check it out, and we'll see how it goes. But for me, I got my handicapper, and his name is Phil Pomani, baby, and he's doing his thing. Big parlays, getting you your payday, and he's securing the bag, which he will give back to the talented basketball youth in Metro Detroit. Hopefully down the road, we will declare they're only going to one place, and that's East Lansing. So if you're a recruit and you want to, get a consultation, just a visit with a sports handicapper, Phil Pomani's your guy. He may be looking weird in that fly fur coat and hat, but he'll give good advice. He'll give financial consultation is how we'll put it out there, allegedly. All right, make sure you follow the network at Detroit Podcast. Anywhere you subscribe to podcasts, go find Detroit Sports Podcast, where you can find Phil, coverage of Michigan, the Pistons, Lions, Wings, all our crazy antics, wrestling interviews. We do it all. We have a good time, and I always get a chance to enjoy the half hour shooting the shit with my guy Phil, talking gambling, trying to make some money. So the point of the day is don't be emotional about it. Listen to all the people that you trust. Lay the action down non-emotionally. Look where people are putting their money and bet wisely and don't go overboard. I can't wait to talk to you next week after the first week of the tournament, my man.
I will, brother. Yo, you be good, man. Thanks, buddy.